Good morning, afternoon, or evening. My name is Sebastian Ruiz. I'm going to be presenting to you guys using OSDR to model data accessibility in the classroom. So, the ground payload team consisted of myself, Skylar D'Angelo, and Dr. Rachel Gilbert, who's been working with the ALSDA since 2022 as a curator. So what is the OSDR exactly? The OSDR is the Open Science Data Repository of NASA. And that's where I did most of my research this summer with Dr. Gilbert and the ALSDA team. And the whole goal is to take and compile and make publicly available NASA-related biological research data done on the ground or in space. And it's usually studies related to stressors on the human body in spaceflight. That's the sort of data that they compile. And you may be asking, what is a mission payload? A mission payload, in the traditional sense, is cargo that is taken up into orbit. And here I have an example of mission SpaceX 228, which is this little shuttle right here. And its synonymous patch, which is payload micro 11, which was a fertility study conducted on this SpaceX flight. And you may be asking, what are ground payloads? I know what a payload is, but what is a ground payload? A ground payload is essentially a new term that Dr. Rachel Gilbert is attempting to reinvent. We're essentially creating tags for this data to be looked up. We are trying to make this big repository much more accessible and easy to filter information. And by having these tags, like heavy ion irradiation, simulated microgravity, scientists can go into these study pages and easily access all studies, all experiments related to this data. And so our goal and our objective was to identify appropriate ground payloads for each study, add ground payloads to the study pages, and record the changes in our ticketing system. Then we would assign the ticket to the administrators, and they would double check that our work was done correctly. And of 195 total studies that we sifted through, we added payloads to 159. And of those 159, 27 have been made publicly available. If you guys would like to take a look. And this is the breakdown of the percentage of payloads that were added by category. This summer, I am a middle school science teacher, and so I looked at this from a pedagogical deterministic screen through the STAR program, and it gave me the opportunity to evaluate the accuracy, validity, and reliability of sources of information using the NJ Student Learning Science Standard for Technology. Since the OSDR's goal is to create open science, which is science accessible for all, I wanted those values to be reflected in the creation of my lesson plan utilizing UDL principles. In utilizing UDL, Universal Design for Learning, you create a lesson that's like a ramp rather than stairs that have to be modified afterward so that everyone can access the lesson. The lesson consists of a bell ringer, memory igniter, guided discussion, I do, we do, you do, a check with active strategy, which would be a pear deck, an exit ticket, and a homework worksheet. And a big thank you to all, and that is my presentation.